Thank you, Dale. Again, my name's RJ Cardin. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director for Maricopa County. So I am just the practitioner of this group. All the heavy hitters are sitting here in the front row. My job was just to come and show some pretty pictures and then sit back down. But I do want to start off by saying thank you to the Conservation Alliance. Both Kim and Stacy do a fantastic job with the Conservation Alliance. And this organization is much needed in central Arizona. So keep up the good work, and let's all keep up the good work with them. I mentioned this is an esteemed panel, so I'm very glad to be here and learn actually from my fellow practitioners on best practices that are going on in Arizona. I want to tell you a little bit about our county parks, because our county parks are sometimes seen as the lost gem. The people really don't even know a lot about our county parks. But before I talk about our county parks, and then I want to talk about some of the issues, I just want to give you a little background. Dale mentioned I have about 30 years of Parks and Recreation experience. And I think from the first day that I entered the profession, inherently I started to understand the benefits of Parks and Recreation. The first job I had was teaching little 8-year-olds tennis lessons. And when I taught those little kids tennis lessons, I started to see social bonding happening. I started to see physical fitness happening. I saw a connection to community happening because we were part of a city Parks and Recreation Department program. And as I progressed throughout my career, I saw all the other benefits. Again, the physical fitness benefits, the psychological benefits of youth and adults improving their mental status by being in parks and open space. And the environmental and economic benefits. A lot of times we don't think about the economic benefits, but there are huge economic benefits by parks, recreation, and open space as well. So why do I value the desert open spaces here in Maricopa County or in the central Arizona region? Wendy mentioned some of these, but the Sonoran Desert is the most biologically diverse of the 4 deserts in the United States, and it has the greatest vegetative growth of any desert on Earth. 41% of all bird species can be seen here in the Sonoran Desert. Our protected open spaces help to filter our water and protect us from floodwater runoff. Open spaces help reduce the heat island effect, and Parks and Recreation play a significant role in improving both the health and quality of life for our residents. Unfortunately, as Wendy mentioned, the Sonoran Desert has been listed as one of the 12 most at-risk environments in the United States. Another article I found said that our Sky Islands, most commonly considered in the southern part of Arizona, but also in central Arizona, are the top 10 most endangered places in the world. So that's why I value our open spaces. I think they are vital to our economy. They're vital to our way of life. I do have to tell one quick story. The new state parks director came up to me, and Sue and I have been friends for quite a while. And she said, "So what are you guys talking about here today?" And so I pulled out my notes, and I went through all of it, and she talked with a couple of the other panel members. And Sue, being the person of laser focus, said, "Well, we're all here because we love this environment. We're screwing it up. Now let's figure out a way to fix it." And she said, "Now let's go have a beer." So I think that does pretty much summarize it. But let me give you a little bit of a history of our state parks, or of our county parks as well. And we have the best of the Sonoran Desert and the Maricopa County parks. We have 10 regional parks that circle the metropolitan area. And as Dale mentioned, we have 120,000 acres of parkland, making us one of, if not the largest regional park systems in the United States. The history of our park system is actually pretty fantastic. Our park system didn't start until 1954. So our park system is a relative baby, but there were some very foresightful people here in the Phoenix and the Maricopa County area that decided we needed to preserve these large open spaces. And they worked with Secretary of State Mo Udall at the time in 1962. And Secretary of State Udall, I was reading an article that was published in the Phoenix Republic in 1962, where Udall termed Maricopa County's plan a model for the U.S. in partnering between city governments, county governments, and the federal government. Because bear in mind, a lot of our 120,000 acres of county parkland is former federal BLM land, Bureau of Reclamation land, and United States Forest Service land. Estrella Mountain Park was our first regional park at 19,800 acres, and we added that from between 53 and 82. And our newest park is now getting close to 20 years old. It's hard for me to believe, but that was Spur Cross Ranch. Again, another model for us, because Spur Cross Ranch acquisition was actually slated to be a housing development, and it's in and around the Cave Creek Wash area. At that time, the state of Arizona, Maricopa County, and the city or the town of Cave Creek got together and said, we need to protect this vital resource. The three organizations came together, they acquired the land, and now it's a partnership operation between Maricopa County and the town of Cave Creek, who prides themselves on having some of the most open space in their regional planning area of any community in the United States. So there are the 10 parks you can see, you got Lake Pleasant up to the top, Spur Cross Ranch and Cave Creek, McDowell Mountain Park, Usery Park down to the far east, Santan Park. Interesting part about Santan Park is that's entirely in Pinal County. Again, a partnership between Pinal County and Maricopa County Parks. They did not have the ability to take on a park, but they felt it was important. They worked with Maricopa County, and at some point, we hope to actually give that park to Pinal County so that that can become the first Pinal County open space park. Further around Estrella, as I mentioned, our first county park, Buckeye Hills, and then White Tank Mountain Regional Park out in the far West Valley, and that's our largest regional park. That's 30,000 acres. Again, we went through a planning process in 2009 as well to develop a system strategic master plan, and I won't read all this to you, but it's really what it came down to is creating a legacy for future generations, and Pat mentioned that. We did public meetings all over the state as part of this planning process, and the public time and time and time again said, you've done a great job protecting open space, now protect more for the future. So our mission is to be good stewards and provide quality services, facilities, and then really to enhance or help people become lifelong users and advocates. That's a key for us. And then finally, our vision, you saw in the beginning of the slide, is connecting people with nature. That's what it's all about. We have to connect more people with these beautiful environments. Park operations, we do all of that on 120,000 acres with 78 full-time staff and a handful of volunteers. Just a reality of our operations, you can see that our operating budget this past year was about $7.2 million. 7% of that came from the county fund. The rest of those dollars are derived funds from concession revenues, entry fees, camping fees, things like that. We are forced to generate our own revenues for our operating. And then our capital budget, as you can see, over a 10-year average was about $2.2 million a year for a 10-year average. These folks are my heroes, the volunteers. We couldn't do what we do in county parks, offer the conservation and services that we provide without our volunteers. 100,000 volunteer hours last year, about $2.2 to $2.5 million, and that's a very conservative figure. But I've got a number of my park staff here, and they will tell you that those folks are our number one advocates and our number one go-getters. They do everything that we ask them to do and more. Again, Maricopa County Parks, 2.1 million visitors last year. Again, primary open space parks, camping, picnicking, trails, water-based activities, nature appreciation, events, and then escape. And that's something that some people don't consider an activity, but when we survey people coming into our parks, that's one of the number one things that they come to our parks, is to escape the urbanization. They feel like they're getting back to nature when they come into our county parks. Education programs are very important to us. Our interpretive rangers do a great job with our education programs. And a number of those programs are even certified by the Arizona Department of Education. Concessions, I mentioned fees are a big part of what we do. So we use our concessionaires, one, to help us generate our revenue to operate our parks, but also to add services and add benefits for our public. So horseback riding opportunities for those people that couldn't afford to ride a horse every day. This gives them the opportunity to get in the backcountry of Estrella Park and see some of the backcountry. Guided tours, we have a marina, watercraft rentals, and a number of golf courses. One of the other things we're very proud of is the Maricopa Regional Trail System. A number of years ago, a group of community activists sat down with county folks and put together a 1,500-mile trail system in Maricopa County. And this ties in all the city systems, and it's a great roadmap for the future, if you will. But the red line that you see there is something that we're working on right now, and that's called the Maricopa Trail. And it's a 320-mile trail that rings the entire county and connects every one of our Maricopa County parks. That trail is about 70% complete now. So we hope within the next 2 to 3 years that trail will be complete. Dale asked me to talk about challenges and opportunities and some of my recommendations, and so I'll go over these really quickly. One of the things that we need from a county standpoint, and I think these probably go to most organizations that run large open space areas within Maricopa County, within the greater Phoenix area, and really within Arizona as a whole. But we need to establish a dedicated and dependable funding source for park improvements, deferred maintenance projects, and then resource conservation. We spend a lot of our time taking care of the day-to-day stuff in our parks, and we're not getting out to do some of those things that Wendy talked about, and really get into the resource management and resource planning. And that goes to the next thing here that we're really trying to work with the Conservation Alliance on, is becoming better applied stewards. So taking that applied research, best practices planning, best practices management, and putting that into place in our open space parks and really making that happen. Another thing that I think that is critical for this area to better understand is developing ecosystem scale regional planning concepts and initiatives. We can't plan for Maricopa County or the city of Peoria or the city of Phoenix or Scottsdale or whatever it is. We have to look at the ecosystem. Where's the water coming from? Where are the plants and animals and diversity moving to and from? So it has to be about planning for ecosystems on a large regional scale rather than by jurisdictional line, and I think that's critical. The ability to find ways to help parks buffer or buffering our parks. A number of our parks, and obviously Dale saw it with South Mountain in Phoenix, as we get development coming right up to our back door. And some of that is fine because people like to live by the parks and they become very strong advocates for our parks. But other areas are still sensitive and we need to find ways to buffer those areas. And so I think there are a number of things that the Conservation Alliance can help us to work on there. Expanding our system, again, Morris Udall and a group of folks did a great job of starting this system. Now we need to continue the legacy. One of the things we're working on with Maricopa County is the addition of a 71,000 acre open space recreation area near Wickenburg called the Vulture Mountains. We're very excited about that. It will be a slow process to get there. We're going to need a lot of support and a lot of assistance, but we think it's worth doing. Increase our marketing education strategies and social media. I think that's pretty self-evident for all of us, but one of the things that's really important to me there is getting our youth engaged with nature. When we get them out there and we can get them connected, they do become advocates. Some people think we can never get those youth to become advocates. I have learned through my daughter, who is now 18, who the first time I took her on a trip to Custer Park in South Dakota, and we started driving around, and she said, "What are we looking at?" And I said, "Nature." And she said, "Nature is boring." But now at 18, she just last year went on a horseback trip with me, 3 days in the wilderness of the Sawtooth Wilderness in Idaho. Gio's hiking with me, so I know it is possible to engage youth. And then, as Dale talked also about, developing new concession opportunities that are appropriate for parks and open space, working with private investment, tourism operators, as you saw on the last slide that I had, benefit greatly by having our park open space. Sales of sporting goods benefit greatly by having our parks. They need to help us and reinvest in our open spaces. And then finally, and this will go to our next speaker, is we need to continue to strengthen our conservancies and our friends group. And before I have the next speaker up, I just wanted to end with 2 slides. The red is Phoenix in 1975, population. There's 2020. Thank you.